Hey everybody, this is Mark Clements, Artistic Director at Milwaukee Rep, doing What's the Tea with Rob McClure, who is suitably in place with Cup of Tea, coming out of the city of brotherly love this morning, our old haunting ground where we first met. Thanks, Rob, for joining us, man. That was really, it's lovely to see your face. It's been a while.
Back at you. It's been a long time. It's good to see you too.
Was it at our wedding? My wedding?
Yes, that was the last time. Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, to Kelly, who I've known for a long time. We went to college together. So we've known each other a long time.
And you're also from, are you from Teaneck? She's from Teaneck. Are you
right next door, New Milford, New Jersey? Yeah. So we knew of each other, and then went to Montclair State University in Jersey together. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's great to see you, man. Good to see your face.
Back at you. I miss you guys.
Helping well?
Yeah. I mean, we're doing as well as can be. Grateful to be healthy and just trying to balance. I think this time, like I keep trying to balance the idea of being stir crazy and thinking like I have to make the most of this time, but then also going like you don't have to make the most of a pandemic. You can also be still and reflective and it's okay to not be okay. It's a crazy time. So I'm just trying to balance the idea of making the most of this. I look at I've got a 15-month-old daughter, and like looking at her and going like, oh, I know I'll look back on this and be grateful for the time with her. But balance the idea that it's coming at a crazy cost.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems strange to go back to mundane matters immediately after that kind of profound thought, but
no.
This is called What's the Tea, and it's like so we're shooting the shit as we might over the kitchen table in where I'm from originally in the UK,
yeah.
And over the virtual kitchen table and just discussing the issues of the day as friends do, and then going about our business again. So actually, out of interest, what is in that cup of tea? It's a very elegant mug, but a cup, by the way. What is in it?
Thank you. It's Earl Grey.
Oh, nice. With milk?
It's with milk. Yes, milk. No sugar this morning.
Very good.
And it's funny. We were just starting Mrs. Doubtfire on Broadway when this madness happened. And me and Jen Gambatese, who plays my wife, there's a moment in the show where Mrs. Doubtfire makes them both tea, which I would do. And I would open this like amazing assortment of teas. And every night I would pick something different. Tonight it's going to be, mint. Tonight it's going to be honey ginger. Tonight it's going to be, and then we would go off stage left. And that 3 minutes during one of my, the Three Kids song is my only break in the show. I've got a 3-minute break off stage left during their song. And we would sit there and have our cuppa off stage left. So every night it was like, we actually had a little 3-minute tea time every night. And the prop guy would say, do you want me to dump that? I would say, no, I'm going to drink it.
Beautiful. Well, listen, actually, that's a great segue. Rob, you're playing Mrs. Doubtfire in Mrs. Doubtfire, the musical on Broadway.
Yeah.
You had an out-of-town period. Where were you? Remind me.
At the Fifth Avenue in Seattle.
Yeah, and all was well there. You moved back to New York, and then I think, correct me if I'm wrong, third preview-ish before or immediately after. Tell us through the drama of what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, it was clear that this thing was gaining momentum, the virus, and the transmission of it was picking up, and but there was also the wonderful thing and the scary thing about theater people is that the show must go on, right? The show must go on. The show must go on. We've got to be there. People need us. People need the relief. People need the laughter. People need the inspiration. But there are some times where the show shouldn't go on. And it was becoming clear that was the case. And we had done 3 previews. Our first preview was on March 9th. So we did the 9th, the 10th, the 11th. And on Thursday, the 12th, we were in rehearsal at the theater for changes to be implemented that evening at that evening's performance. And the producer walked into the back of the house. All of a sudden, rehearsal stopped. And we all were sat down. and given a speech that the show is sort of suspended indefinitely, but they will be in touch. He assured us all that we would be back, which was very encouraging for us, because that was not the case for many shows who are not able to survive this lull, and yet the shows who haven't had that announcement come to them yet, because it's going to take a lot of strategy to keep things going. Our producers are wonderful and have assured us that Mrs. Doubtfire will be back. So we just left everything there. We got up and left the theater with props and costumes and our dressing. I had just moved into my dressing room and hung pictures of my family on the walls. And it's strange to think of them all just sitting there waiting at the Stephen Sondheim Theater for us to get back. It's a crazy, crazy time.
Yeah, eerie.
Yeah.
I wonder, have you been keeping in touch with your cast members? Because, you know, that's what we do. We create this, we have our own families, and then the show that we're in, then we have our bigger theater family, and then we have our show family, and we're so lockstep with those people for, you know, very concentrated periods of time, as you have been through the Doubtfire process, and to suddenly have that cut away, and not have that camaraderie of which so much is built around putting on shows. That must have been, it must be quite a thing. How are you guys keeping in touch? Have you been keeping in touch?
We have, and we were, you know, we were particularly close, having just done an out of town in Seattle. You know, we all live in the same hotel when we're out there, which means that we're having dinner together in the hotel lobby. It means that we're going to, you know, we're all walking to the theater together at half hour. We're all going to, you know, ride the Ferris wheel on the waterfront together. And we were there over the holidays. So we spent Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas, and New Year's all together, and my daughter's first birthday all together in Seattle. So we became really close. And then came to Broadway after that, really, and it was breaking all kinds of records out there. The momentum was palpable. We were all in such a celebratory mode, and the Broadway previews were going really well. So yeah, it was like having, you know, the rug pulled out from under us. But we have been Zooming regularly. At least, you know, once a week we'll all jump on Zoom and just visit with one another on what was meant to be our opening night, April 5th. 82 of us, all the creatives and the crew and musicians all included. We all got on one gigantic conference call and ran the entire show. We just wanted to do it to make sure it was still in there, which I think we will continue to do periodically until we're back. It's just good to make sure that it's all still up there. Not that we're going to be rushed back. It's not one of those things where they're going to say, we're back tomorrow. We'll go back into rehearsal and previews. But it's nice to just say the stuff out loud, to sing through those songs, and to bounce the ball back and forth as we were. But one thing that those run-throughs, those Zoom run-throughs are proving is that screens don't cut it. You know, it's not the same. And I can't wait until we can bring the real thing back to people who desperately crave it.
Seriously, if I don't have to do another go-to meeting, I am grateful, because technology is allowing us to stay in touch, and, you know, we're able to do this.
Yeah.
But if I never have to do another Zoom or go-to meeting,
yeah,
I'm going to be very, very happy. However, you know, I think I've started to think now, I think more of us are, because what was that? When the day you left the theater, is that 4 weeks ago? What is that now?
Yeah, it's over a month.
Yeah, and how that month feels so long in some ways, and what life was before, and just things that we do for granted, you know, whether you're going out for groceries, just the, you know, getting gas for the car. It's just like, I feel like there's going to be some massive amount of PTSD, you know, that we're all kind of dealing with, just in terms of how we relate to human beings, and especially theater people who just, you know, we're a very, you know, we're the people that hug people on the first day when we've never met. You know, it's different, I guess, if you're working in a bank or something. But you know, those are the things I really, really miss now. You know, hugging. What are you missing right now?
Yeah, same. My wife celebrated her birthday about a week and a half ago, and our dear friends who live nearby in Philadelphia all of a sudden somebody pounded on our front door, which it was terrifying in the current context. Like, who's here? And we opened the door, and they had a cake with lit candles sitting on the stoop, and were at the curb with masks on, singing "Happy Birthday," which was strange, but also lovely and sweet. And then, Maggie blows out her candles, and we said goodbye. And all I wanted to do was hug them for that generosity. And it was strange to just from afar go like, thanks, we'll see you soon. It's a strange, strange thing. I'm also noticing that I miss people in profile. Like everything from My Nightly Dose of Stephen Colbert to like Sesame Street is doing this format. So everyone's looking straight. And I'm like, I long for the day where people are standing close enough for me to be watching people in profile again.
Yeah. I've got a little visitor here. Sorry.
Oh, good.
Please. Only
Hey.
1 million people are watching you. This is Amelie.
Hi, Amelie. Yeah, good to see you again.
Yeah. The last time you saw her, she was very, very little.
I know.
All right.
I'm growing up quick.
We're filming here. Okay, I love you too. Added bonus.
That's the good stuff.
So, as I'm starting to think and hear this term, the new normal.
Yeah.
What is going through your mind when you think that? Because clearly, this notion which looked like, oh, is this going to be a 2-week hiatus where we kind of just down tools and that's going to be weird, has now become a month. There's now talk of it being a lot longer.
Yeah.
And in fact, I can't even fully embrace some of the bigger numbers, bigger times that are being muted right now. And so much of it is out of our hands because, depending on consumer confidence or gathering in places, which is what our industry is all about. Assuming, we can start getting back into, I'm not sure what you guys have defined as a potential. Is there a date? Have you guys been given a date?
No, not even close. I think until we know, I think my guess is that restaurants have to be first. Restaurants and maybe some sports. They lead the way because there is going to be a bounce back, right? There's people are going to go. Some people, I don't know what the percentages are, but some people will probably get sick. People will get nervous about that. Then there'll be a pullback. Then there'll be a little bit more confidence. This is going to be gradual. It just is going to be. And until there's a vaccine that can really give people confidence, there's going to be a gradual, return to normalcy. But so I think everyone is just listening, keeping our ears open for the information that we need to make good informed decisions and protect our artists and our audiences.
What do you think some of the new norms might be that might be there for indefinitely from this, do you think, in our lifetimes?
I don't want to believe that any of this will ever be looked at as normal. I don't think it should be. I think we should, you hear people talking on television about like maybe we just should never shake hands again. I don't want to live in that world. I want to live in the world that trusts science and believes in them and their ability to come up with ways for us to be able to be human in the way that we've learned to. And that for me means hugging, and that for me means shaking someone's hand. But I'm willing to wait it out as we must. But the idea of a new normal, like, oh, this is, maybe this should be the way it is from now on. I haven't seen a single thing that's come out of this that makes me think like, oh, that should be the. What would be a great new normal? If everyone trusts vaccines. Like if everyone is like, vaccines are good and we need them, and when they come out you should take them. That's a keeper. That could be a new normal.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's going to take a while, but like you, I can't imagine a world in which I can't hug people for the risk of them getting me sick or me getting them sick. I think, and like you, I think that's a great thought, waiting it out, for that, because giving up on that, I don't know what to do with that thought. It's too enormous and too catastrophic, and
and
I
just believe Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I believe that our innovative minds in this world are better than that. I think they can find a way, whether it be, through vaccine or you know, our bodies are incredible things. I have friends who have fought COVID-19 and who have come out the other side healthy, and the antibodies that their body has produced, and then them being called by the hospital to come in and donate blood so that they can use the antibodies to. I mean, it's an extraordinary, miraculous thing, and I believe that those antibodies are there to fight this thing off and to help others fight it off and to help the people who have underlying conditions to fight it off, because we're meant to shake hands, we're meant to hug, and I think we're going to fight it all off, and it's just a matter of time and trusting the brilliant minds who are in charge of the science.
Yeah, I had one of my what's the tea guests was Chris Jones, who's the chief theater critic for the Chicago Times, and we were just talking. He wrote a very interesting article about the things that we do at the staging the directors do, the choreographers do, the interactions, the very personal interactions that we do with actors, which
Yeah.
whether it be on stage, in movies, on TV, love scenes, scenes of affection, of hugging, and it's weird kind of watching those things now, even on a movie, and going, oh, without your mind going, we couldn't do that right now.
Right.
There must be a million moments in Doubtfire, which, like, when you come back, are you going to have to rethink about staging, the proximity, and in order just to do that?
Yeah, I don't think we should come back until we can do what we do, because in a show like Mrs. Doubtfire, if I can't come through the door at the end and sweep my 3 kids into my arms and hug them, we shouldn't be back yet. I think we should just wait until humans can be human, because if your story isn't about social distancing, then you shouldn't be social distancing. You know what I mean? Like, I think we just have to wait until we can do what we do. Now, does that mean there's a world where everyone in the cast can go and get tested and come in and do the show, and then you sell a limited number of tickets so that people can stay apart? I think that's not what theater is. To think about an audience where every audience member sits 3 chairs apart so that we're 6 feet apart. Any actor or theater artist will tell you on stage, a thin house is the enemy of success, right? There's something about the collective mind of an audience. That's why we go. If you're not going to be sitting next to someone, you can stay home. It's about when I watch stand-up comedians at home alone, no matter how funny my brain registers them as, I never laugh out loud, ever. But if I go to see a stand-up comedian, there's something energetically, there's something in the air that is that there's a collective mind of an audience that warrants, it elicits an emotional response, a heightened emotional response. And until we can be doing that art form, I think we just have to wait. As sad as that is, the idea of changing the way we make theater to suit the fears of the virus, I think we should just wait until we don't have to be scared anymore.
I think you're right. I think there are maybe some interim measures that we can adopt, and I think we're looking at our theatre company about putting things in place that will give great more consumer confidence.
That's it. Yeah.
I do like the fact that if you go into there's a couple of grocery stores and like department stores like Meijer and Target now, that when you're going in there in this area anyway, they're using those non-contact thermometers on the head.
Yeah.
That gives me a degree of confidence if I am going in there, albeit covered up with my gloves, my hand sanitizer, whatever. I do feel comfortable. I feel more comfortable that they're only letting people in there that are not feverish.
Yeah.
Whether those people are doing it knowingly or not. and they're monitoring you on the way out, and there's some kind of documentation on that. And I guess, like post 9/11, we're going to be facing a lot of situations where civil liberties are going to be being called up.
Right.
And we're going to have to figure that out as a nation on how we do that and how that information is processed. But anything that keeps us safe right now, I'm very grateful for the store when I do go in it, and the one that I do here, 2 to 3 times a week, that I have sanitizing wipes where I can wipe my own supermarket trolley. What happens if I can do that in my theater seat as well?
Yeah.
Maybe I have to sit 6 feet away for people until we are a little close to finding some medicine and the health system is in a strong enough state to be able to take care of sick people. Maybe that's the incremental thing. But I think you're right. I don't know how until we are back and can be together in the way that we were before, and actors can interact with one another in the way we make theater, and the rehearsal room can be that way.
Yeah.
We can hug each other again. I don't see how we come back fully. And I think you're right. I mean, what is a rock concert without a mosh pit?
That's it. And I think, it's a lot of that. A lot of the confidence is about risk reward, right? We ride the subway in New York City, and we know that there's a germ transference, but there's a risk reward that makes me go, the odds of me getting something that I would really have an ailment from is a certain percentage, and I weigh that risk every day, and I go like, I'm going to take the subway. I think that consumer confidence is eventually going to be less about a security guard taking your temperature when you go into the theater, and more about people going to the theater and low numbers of them coming out of the theater being sick. Yeah. That's where I think the consumer confidence lies, because I don't know anyone who's going to want to bring their grandchildren to a Broadway show as a beacon of light and love and hope and joy and humor that will begin with taking the temperature at the door. It feels disconnected to me in terms of why we go to the theater. Eventually we may go like, hey, listen, that's the way it needs to be, and we can reassess. But my heart doesn't want that to become reality.
No, I think those observations are really on point, and I think that's what we have to be shooting for our health, for our security, and for, to be able to celebrate life in the way that we should be celebrating it, and especially as theater people, as people in the entertainment industry should be doing.
And we'll find ways to create content like this that keeps people inspired to come back when we're ready. I don't think there will ever be a world where we go like, you know what, maybe we're better off without it. That's not going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And if people like you and people like me and people who do what we do continue to tease that idea, and anyone who's ever been to a show continues to remember what it feels like, it will remain a goal. I don't think anyone is thinking, you know what, the world is better off if we all just stay separate. And I think people crave it and will continue to crave it until we're back. And the one thing I can look forward to is the first time those curtains come back up. Because it's going to be electric. It's going to be electric.
I think, I think when we come back, there's an opportunity. Hopefully, writers are having a little bit more time to write material, stronger material than they had the time to do it before. That's certainly something that we're thinking about. New playwriting is a very strong facet, as you know, of our organization, and so we're trying to use this time, look at the opportunities that this affords us, because often we don't have time. This sort of gestation of projects and things, I've definitely, the couple of things I've got next coming up, I'm definitely having more time to think about those things, and I'm grateful for that time.
Yeah.
But I think that, the notion, as you say, of people coming back into a theater and being able to have a shared experience together.
Yeah.
fills my heart with, floods it with joy.
Yeah.
Because it's just the idea of that is just so thrilling. And I think people are really missing that. When we
Yeah.
talk to our donors, when we're talking to our friends, everybody's saying, I just miss hugging. I just miss having the shared experience.
Yeah.
And so I think when the day that comes, that's going to be a fantastic day. And maybe, it'll be a lesson to us about living more in the present and celebrating things. I think that will be part of the new normal, that actually people will be more appreciative. Whether
Yeah.
it be the person packing your bags in the grocery store that you may have not given a cursory look at,
Yeah.
to the person that's tearing your ticket in the theater, to the actor that's on stage and entertaining you. I think those are going to be much more meaningful things. And maybe certainly at the age where I've got an 8-year-old, you've got a 15-month-old, and what are they going to be the beneficiaries of that time? Maybe that is one of the silver linings. And I hate that term, silver linings. It's always bugged me, because it just feels so annoying. It's like, well, look on the bright side. Well, sometimes I know there isn't a bright side. I do actually, there are some things coming out of this that I'm seeing. What are you seeing, like, in terms of what are some of the silver linings? Are they things that you're doing, binge watching, cooking, picking up a guitar again? I don't know. What are the silver linings for you?
I mean, I'm finding time to write, which is something that I love to do and rarely have time. Theater people, anyone who knows theater people, they rarely have time for anything. They're never at weddings, they're never at birthdays, they're never at, because their schedule is crazy, and you have to be at your show. You can't, I it's funny, I'll have relatives who are like, it's your cousin's birthday, we'll see you on Saturday. And you're like, I haven't had a Saturday to myself in 20 years. But so to have some time with my family is a good one. To have time to write is nice because I can express myself artistically in that way. But I think the biggest thing that I'm noticing that it unfortunately does often come with disaster is a ridding of sarcasm and cynicism. Like, I think the idea, even what we do, theater, right? Plays and musicals. There are people in this world who look at what we do as cheesy, right? It's cheesy. Theater is, I don't know, there's something hokey about it. There's something, especially musical theater, right? There's something hokey. And then when something happens and Brian Stokes Mitchell sticks his head out of his window on the Upper West Side and sings The Impossible Dream.
Yeah.
It cuts through any cynicism or sarcasm, and suddenly the world goes, that is so profoundly beautiful. It's easy to go like, that's cheesy when everything's going well. But if you look at what is getting people through even the term binge, I'm going to binge watch that. No, you're going to consume mass amounts of art. But we found a way to spin that into something casual, and like, the only thing getting people through this is the consumption of art, whether it be TV or music or watching things like you and I having a conversation right now. Art is more essential than ever. If we did not have art to consume, people would be sitting in their houses doing nothing but eating and losing their minds. But this term binge, we've even found a way to spin a sort of casual nature to the consumption of art. But it takes moments like this to go like, no, those are artists. If you're going back and rewatching Breaking Bad, you're watching some of the finest actors doing some of the finest scene work with some of the finest. But TV and theater, you start to take for granted. That's not taking the world around us and the art made by artists for granted. That always seems to come to light in moments of disaster, and the idea of something being cheesy, the idea of something being optimistic or hopeful or beautiful being cheesy falls by the wayside when you're going through a profound loss, and we cling to it. I hope when all of these things return to normal, we keep the gratitude factor up, because it's cool to see people grateful for beauty and art. in these crazy times. It happened after 9/11. It happened, people they turn to art to feed. We have to fix our bodies first, but then we'll get back to fixing people's souls, and that's what I think art does.
It's beautiful. It's so interesting what you say, that in certain cultures, artists are held in such high esteem.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't know if it's true now, but for many years, perhaps it is, that in an island, if you were a poet, if you were a writer, if you were an actor, you were almost treated as a civil servant. Whereas in both American and British culture, it tends to be like a frivolous luxury. And right now, people are finding, you framed it up very eloquently, but now people are actually realizing that it's the thing that's keeping them going right now. Those artists that were lucky to be doing what they were doing, and that's their choice. Now those people, and let's hope that those people that really care and have deep pockets out there, and the government, and start looking after those people and valuing them a little bit more than we're seeing right now, because I think that's been one of the hardest things, seeing so many of our colleagues really, really suffering, and
I
live hand to mouth by and large anyway.
Well, and I think we're not claiming that us getting back to work is more, is essential in the way that the grocery store, the medical workers are. We understand that they are superheroes, and we are in awe of their work and their sacrifice right now. But what we are maybe nodding to and alluding to is that maybe those theater classes and those acting classes and those music classes and those orchestra rehearsals and band rehearsals in school, maybe they're not so extracurricular. Maybe they're curricular. Because look at what it does in these times where people need something. They need more than just food, and they're either consciously or unconsciously consuming what we make, and it's cool. It's cool to see.
Well, listen, man, it's just been really wonderful. Thank you for joining me today. I totally look forward to Mrs. Doubtfire coming back.
Thanks.
Seeing that show, coming to your dressing room, and you giving me a very large drink of water. I know that you'll have a plethora of beautiful beverages there, and sharing one, raising a glass to you, my friend, and looking forward to that moment.
Back at you and your beautiful family, and I can't wait till we have another, our lives synchronized in a way that I can get out to Milwaukee, because I'd love to come out and play.
Yeah, well, that we want that too.
I love you.
Rob McClure, cheers.
Cheers, my friend.